Hello and welcome back to Pico Island and our little farm in progress. Today I have a little bit of a story time for you, which is unfortunately not the happiest of stories, but it is important and it is a part of renovations. But to tell the story, I need to track back a little bit. First of all, to the extreme weather event that happened in the beginning of August. 2 videos ago, I showed you, or it's 3 videos ago, but 2 renovation videos ago, I showed you that we had a wall on our land that collapsed, a landslide that happened due to the extreme weather event. And we also discovered that our roof, unfortunately, was leaking water inside the house. If you have been following this renovation journey since the video that we bought the house in, you might remember that we had some work done on the roof in the very beginning of this journey. Literally right after we got the keys, we had hired someone to treat the roof with the promise that if you would clean the roof and treat it with this to be honest, I don't know what it's called, this sealing paste that you see me applying here, that the roof that looked pretty rough when we first bought the house, that it would last like at least 10 years. And of course we were very excited. And then we made a huge mistake because we were so euphoric that we had just signed the papers and had gotten the keys, that we didn't think it through and we didn't double check. We didn't get a second opinion or a second, price for the work or anything like it. We just said yes to the first opportunity. And unfortunately now, months later, we had to discover that the work was not properly done and that it was unfortunately not worth the money that we paid for it, which is a hard experience to make. It's very disappointing, and of course, as I mentioned multiple times, our budget is very tight, so something like that is a huge setback and very heavy to deal with in that situation. But yeah, it's on us because we were just too excited and didn't think it through, and yeah, it's on us, unfortunately. This is an experience that a lot of people have to make when they are renovating or building a house. This is not a unique experience at all, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It can happen to you anywhere that you hire someone, either a company or a person, and then it turns out that it wasn't worth the money or something went wrong or whatever. It unfortunately happens, and it happened to us as well. And to see the bright side of this, I have never envisioned myself working on a roof and being able to do work like this, but I feel like I did a pretty good job, and I'm kind of happy that I learned this new skill of mine. And yeah, I'm very proud of what I did and what I learned in the process. The leak is not 100% fixed, but it is a lot better than it was. I think the main issue is that they cut off the tiles way too short when they built the roof originally, and we will probably have to get that fixed in the future, but let's see what the future holds. So far, I'm kind of proud of what I did. If any of you are experts in tiles or roofs, please let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Is our roof not to be saved? Do we need to exchange it very soon? Or do you think we can still go for a little bit with the work that I've done? And do you think I've done a good job in comparison to what was done before that you can see right here. Meanwhile, inside the house, the boys were working on the big wall that I already mentioned in the last renovation video. That was a long project, but we were finally reaching the finish line. The last one, finally, after so many weeks. Yay! And speaking of walls, in the basement we were also building 2 more walls against the big lava stone walls because of the water that was entering, and we discovered that actually the old floor was a lot lower than it is right now. You can see it here where I'm pointing. This is where the old ceiling of the basement and the floor of the living room used to be. Very interesting how shallow it was back then. And yeah, you can still see the remains of that. And I love that you find so much history in this house. I mean, it's almost 200 years old. And here, this little crack is a little beauty blemish because people use this massive rock to hammer on top to shape other smaller stones into place so they can build these massive walls and everything fits together. And I find that so fascinating. Everything made by hand. So you just saw the wall that fell apart on our land that is still on our agenda to be fixed. And now I'm standing in my backyard. And as you can see, it's very chaotic over here. There's a bathtub next to me. These are parts of the walls that were inside the house. There are massive lava rocks over here from other parts, and it's a mess. It's a mess. There's some wood here that is getting overgrown by the plants down there, and up there is weeds and grass as high and as far as you can see. This was supposed to be the pride and glory at this point, because of course the renovations of inside the house are taking a lot longer. So, okay. So we were hoping to at least have a garden going that is worthy of showing. And as you know, if you saw the older videos, we were very much busy with doing that. We had planted tomatoes and we had potatoes and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, we just didn't have the time to take care of the land as it needs to be taken care of, which is a lot more than we anticipated. We know gardening is work. We're no strangers to that. But this land, because it is so big and because the grass that has been planted here before we got it is just so aggressive, there was no way in hell we could deal with that, especially when the weather was bad and we were already tired from the renovations, and because we don't have like a grass cutting tool or a tilling tool or anything like that, because it's currently just not in the budget, unfortunately. It is what it is, which is why we gave up the garden. But only for now. It's only temporary. Of course, we're getting back to it eventually, but for this year and this coming winter, there's going to be nothing in the garden but wilderness. And maybe, hopefully, at some point, a chicken coop. That is the only thing that's still on the list, is like a chicken coop. We really want to have a chicken coop with our own chickens. But again, we're not going to do that as long as we're not living here. And we just don't have the time, really, to do that, or the energy. We had so many plans and dreams how this garden would look like at this point. And yeah, it's not it. And that's okay. That's totally okay. Sometimes life happens, and sometimes you completely miscalculate how much time you're going to have, how much energy you're going to have, how the weather is going to be, and how things are progressing. And it's fine. It's totally okay. We're a bit sad because, of course, we would love to have like a beautiful garden with like all the veggies and everything full of pumpkins at this time of the year and whatever. And we did have some harvest, but very little, because for the amount of plants that we planted, it was very little harvest. Don't get me wrong, we had enough harvest, especially tomatoes, but only because we planted 100 tomato plants. But for the fact that we planted 100 tomato plants, we did not have a lot. And also the potatoes, yes, we had potatoes, and we're grateful for every single one, but they were all kind of small, and a lot of them were not very good because the weather was just not right, and all this kind of stuff. And it's all a part of gardening. Like, if you see stuff online where people always harvest the perfect fruit with seemingly no effort, that's just not true. Like, gardening is so joyous, but it is definitely some kind of work and time intensive. And if you don't have the time and energy to attend to a land, especially a land that is as sad as this, that really needs a lot of attention, it's not gonna work. Like, our tomatoes were sick and overgrown within a matter of weeks. In the beginning I still tried to tame it, but eventually I just had to give up. Also because then we had a heat wave, then we had this massive thunderstorm situation, and we had a lot of rain, and it suddenly felt like winter. And this year was not our garden year, unfortunately. We had been so happy to finally be back at gardening after having to take a break after last summer. We couldn't garden in the winter at all, and now we again cannot. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because there's not going to be garden content anytime soon. Also because I wanted to talk about giving up, really. I already said when I was at the wall that like giving up is not an option, and that is true. For us here with all of this, giving up is not an option. This is what we chose. This is the life that we chose, and we knew it was coming with a lot of work and a lot of dedication and a lot of frustrations and a lot of like fallbacks, and that's okay. But it's also okay to give up things, either temporarily, like we're doing right now, to be like, okay, no, we can't take this on right now, but we will come back to it whenever we can. Or to just be like, this is not for me. Sometimes we come to a point in our lives where we, even if it was like our biggest dream in life, and then we arrive to it, no matter if it was a dream or if it's something that just happened, but we arrive at a point in our life and we look at how our life has turned out, and we realize that's not it. That's not it. And it's totally okay to give up whatever makes you unhappy, or whatever is holding you back, or whatever is just not working, be it a garden, a job, whatever, a relationship, whatever it may be for you. It is totally okay to say, I give this up, and I create change, and I change my life, or a certain area of my life, or whatever, and start anew, or start something different, or to just be honest and say, hey, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I don't want this. I'm gonna go back to what I had before. And that's totally fine. Like, that's so okay. I had so many conversations with friends recently about exactly that, and it is just so valid and so okay. And I just wanted to express that as we are giving up on the garden with a broken heart, not because it's not working. Well, it's not working, but it's not that we don't want a garden. We really, really do, and we're brokenhearted that we can't. But it's just not working for us right now because there is just no capacity. And then it's okay to be like, hey, no more, because if we try to keep it this, we would just beat ourselves up for not being perfect and for having everything overgrown, and the plants would be sick, and like, it's so frustrating. It would give us more frustration than joy. So for now, we're giving up the garden, and we will come back to it as soon as we humanly possibly can, sometime whenever the renovations are further ahead. And if you have any recommendations how to get rid of grass and weeds permanently without using chemicals, let me know in the comments down below, because this land is so huge. I know that the only option is basically cutting it down and weeding every day, or what feels like every day, and to maybe like put like something on top that doesn't allow the rest to grow. Fully aware of that, but maybe someone out there is a garden wizard and knows something that we don't. So hey, any tips are welcome at this point, because this is a mess, a very time-intensive mess. Otherwise, I just see you in this garden in the future.
For the support.